You're listening to the Griffin Sports Insider Podcast, live from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill in St. Joseph, Missouri. It's our live weekly chat with Missouri Western coaches and athletes. Here's your host for the Griffin Sports Insider Podcast, Tommy Rezach.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Happy New Year, and welcome to our first Griffin Sports Insider Podcast of 2026, Monday, January the 5th. Yes, campus back open. Students, all of them, will rejoin us next Monday for the start of the spring 2026 semester. But for us, the semester is already off and running. We had our first basketball games of the new year over the weekend on the road. We'll talk about that and plenty more over the next hour. I'm Tommy Rezach. Hope everyone's holiday was good. It's been about 3 weeks since we sat up here. We had our Education Day games a couple Mondays ago. Of course, a little over a week ago, observing the Christmas and New Year's holidays, and now we're back ready to go. And figured what better time to get a mid-year update than now, as we're joined by our Director of Athletics here at Missouri Western State University, Andy Carter, to give us some time as we reflect on a terrific fall semester and look ahead to some big things on our agenda here in 2026. So, Andy, Happy New Year to you. I know you and between you and your wife, a big family of kids and grandkids. Just how was your time away?
Yeah, it was great. We had the ability to just kind of sit around and enjoy the break a little bit and kind of fend off the sinus infection type stuff. But it was good to change the pace for a little bit. We had some family come into town during Thanksgiving, so we didn't have as much during this time. But we did get news that our family is expanding again with another daughter having a baby coming this next year. So, things are great, and it was good to change pace, but now I'm chomping to get back at it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We've got we've got two sets of basketball doubleheaders coming up at home this Wednesday and Saturday. Washburn in our house Wednesday, Central Missouri on Saturday, which we will get to eventually. But can't help but look back, Andy, at the semester we just had with two MIAA championships, the tournament title for soccer, and a regular season title for volleyball. In the case of soccer, first time that's ever happened. You pair that with the fact we had a national qualifier in cross country, and with all of that, with all of our programs, an athletic-wide grade point average of 3.29, tied for the highest in program history. We had a volleyball MIAA Coach of the Year in Jessica Fye. I mean, dozens of all-conference performers and All-American in volleyball with Taylor Russell. I mean, my goodness, what a fall we just had.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm so proud of our coaches and proud of our student-athletes for the hard work that they do on our behalf and representing our university. They've done a great job of doing that. And, it's an interesting line of work that we're in that, we don't get to rest on our laurels. I'm happy for all the things that have happened, but obviously there's things that we want to continue to improve at in every aspect of our athletic department. So it's kind of like what's next, right? Mm-hmm. It's always a what next. And so what that happened, great. We love it. Mm-hmm. We'll celebrate that. We're happy that our programs are moving in the right direction. But we've still got a lot of work to do and a lot of productivity to put out for the rest of the year. And in reality, they measure us in years, not in semesters. So we got to finish the year. We got to do our jobs, and we've got the right people. I mean, I can't emphasize enough how impressed I am with our head coaches, their character and integrity, the work ethic that they bring to the table, the investments they make in our young people. We've got some of the best student athletes I've ever worked with. And so you put all that together, we have high expectations that good things are going to happen. Mm-hmm. We're not going to lower our standard or lower our expectations. Some of the programs that may be even struggling a little bit right now, we know we have the right people in place to get those things where they need to be.
One thing kind of that's not our program, but was our facility, was state football, hosted about a month ago now, and 25,000 fans combined for those 7 Misha Show Me Bowl state championships. And we had some, at least local regional teams like a Platte County, like a Lee Summit, Rockport, of course, Worth County. Just from your observation and everything, first year, obviously, right, a lot of question marks going in, but everything I've heard seems to be overwhelmingly positive of that experience at Spratt.
Yeah, true testament to our staff that put that together, and obviously the Misha runs that deal, but they couldn't do that without our people who have the knowledge and the experience in doing that. It's a true testament to them, and then also for the draw that is in the state of Missouri for people to want to come watch their teams compete in the state championships. And just like you alluded to, I nothing but tremendous response from people about the quality of the facilities, the quality of the experiences, and the quality of the people doing the work. And so very proud of that. And, we'll have that again for a few more years, and then we'll see what that looks like moving forward. But, I think we've figured out how to run events, and that we've done a good job of that.
Yeah, with the St. Joseph Sports Commission agreement, 2028 is the current deal with state football at Spratt Stadium. So, well, what an opportunity and what a neat deal that we get to do. Shifting to kind of, back to within our walls in this current season, basketball, you talk about a lot of firsts and unknowns. When you have two virtually completely new teams, new coaching staffs in a league as good as this, you're never quite sure what you're going to get. But, this year we're full go in conference play now. We've had some exciting things happen. We had the Education Day games a few weeks ago, and we're fresh off the road from Kearney and Hayes. Lots of season to go. 15 conference games for both teams still. But at this point, what's your evaluation of basketball?
Well, I know for sure that we've got the right people leading those programs. I think Brooks has had a little bit more of a head start in developing his program, having brought three guys with him that knows exactly what he needs to do. And by the way, they're all three pretty good players.
Yeah, yes, they are.
And they've gelled together maybe a little quicker because of that. But even as I watch our women's team play, there's such flashes of brilliance, and you see it. You see what they can do. And it's funny because having had these conversations over the break with several of my colleagues across the country, we've got to get used to the fact that we're probably not having coaches be around for 20 and 30 years anymore.
Yeah.
And that because of the current system of where, a coach leaves, you're generally going to lose a lot of players. That these quick rebuild turnarounds, it's all about who you put at the front of that, and I just feel like that we've got the right people. We've got the right people to do that. And so these little dips might happen. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants to have a losing record, right? But they might happen. But we'll see this thing swing back into our direction. Luke's too good. His staff is too good. Our talent is too good, and we'll continue to build upon that. So I don't sit there. Yeah, I have high expectations for all of our programs because we're giving them the resources to be able to do it. But you have to understand that teams don't just generally get thrown together and compete at a high level immediately. And so you have to give that a little bit of time. So it is what it is. And in my career, I've always looked at, do we have the right people doing the right things at the right time for the right reasons? And if you do, then you've got to give it a little bit of time to work. And I just sense that throughout our entire department that's what we have.
It sounds like kind of a counterculture to where we are in athletics nowadays, right? Because it's like in this age of technology and ChatGPT and all this stuff, it's like instant results now. But, you look at a guy like Kurt Signetti at Indiana, how long he's been in the thing in a program that struggled for a long time, and now they're really good. So sometimes just giving people the opportunity to build things, that's a way to success too that maybe we just have kind of forgotten about in this world turning faster.
If we keep thinking that we can fix today's problems with yesterday's solutions, we will never move forward. We've got to be able to be nimble and to pivot and to make quicker decisions. I had this conversation with Coach Fenwick over the break about, the idea that we all want to bring in freshmen and develop them is still a good idea. Right. However, if they get too good, they won't be here, right?
Yeah.
So you have to open up your mind a little bit to the idea that a little quicker, a little faster on the portal, see what's out there, a little faster on the transfer. But that doesn't mean that we lower our standards and our expectations of those young people. We still have to vet them. We still have to make sure. Tommy, I'm going to say this. I've been doing this a long time. This is my 6th university I've been. and I've led 6 athletic departments. Mm-hmm. All of them had great experiences. But we don't have social problems here. There are issues that happen within each team that the coaches handle, but like things that don't rise to my level. I'm not bailing young people out of jail. I'm not having to deal with them breaking the law.
Yeah.
We don't have those problems. Why? Mm-hmm. Because we have coaches that have high integrity and character on who they recruit. They vet them through the process and make sure they fit us. Mm-hmm. We still have to do that. Oh, yeah. But you have to be a little quicker in that, and you have to maybe take a few more chances here and there on somebody, because the portal, the transfer thing is pretty fickle. If you have somebody that you think fits, you better go get them, because somebody else is going to take them. Right. And so it's just a different way of, we have to allow ourselves to pivot a lot faster than maybe we've wanted to in the past. And they say, I heard this over the break a lot from other ADs. It's like there's just no loyalty anymore. I'm not going to go that far, right? Because I look across our rosters and I see young people who just love being here and love being a Griffin, right? But I think you have to earn that. I think you have to get people to come in, and it's back to the basics of what makes college athletics so great, or any organization so great. It's relationships. It's trust. Then you get loyalty, right? You don't get loyalty without those things, and those things take time to develop. And so I like where we are. I feel like that we're going to, when this whole thing fleshes out, our spring sports are going to be pretty good, and I think we're going to end up, in a good spot with our overall win-loss and all that kind of stuff. But more importantly, we've got people that are continuing to work and continuing to recruit and continuing to develop young people. And I like the position we're in.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Softball will play a game at the end of this month. Baseball opens February 1st. Lacrosse will open next month. And then track and field gets back underway, not this weekend, but next. So many things around the corner, including National Signing Day for our football program. You alluded to that, Wednesday, February the 4th. You talk about having the right people. That's a staff that's, held together. They've just completed their 3rd year, but we know that they're going through a tough time right now. This season was a tough one. And you alluded to, taking time and putting trust in your people. That said, what is kind of how confident should fans, and how confident are you feeling that things will start looking up this coming year?
Oh, I'm 100% confident. And I think if you have to understand. You have to understand the whole story of when Coach Fenwick was hired. There was a senior class there that was fantastic, right? Yes. They were not only talented and had all of those attributes, but they were also very hungry to have success. And so we had success. Mm-hmm. But there was some holes behind those in recruiting classes. And so we've kind of had to deal with that over the last few years. And so we feel like that we can get there a little bit quicker, maybe going transfer route on a few kids. But at the end of the day, we've got to stay healthy. Right. We've got to develop our depth on the offensive and defensive lines. And quite frankly, I just think we have to be able to trust our players to use their athletic ability. So many coaches, and I think ours have done this too, they want to play chess on every play, when sometimes checkers is really good, right? Just be really sound and be fast. Let our kids play fast. And I think Coach Fenwick's buying into that a little bit, and I think you're going to see that in the way we play this next year. Once again, being nimble in your thinking, that ability to pivot, to make adjustments. And I believe in him, and I believe in his staff. And I like what I see in the recruiting that we're bringing in for the second semester. And, right now, a lot of Division IIs are in a holding pattern waiting for this Division I portal thing to shake its way out, because everybody thinks that they're going to get that great offer. And so we've got to let that run its course a little bit. But we have people that are out there making it happen, and I feel very confident where the football program's going. I think they're going to have a good spring and a good summer, and we've got another tough schedule. It is what it is, right? The people that you're going to play in this league, there's just no off games, And, I think we'll be ready to do that.
Yeah, I have some recruiting type questions swirling in my head. I'll save those for National Signing Day, and we'll have a Signing Day special on Wednesday the 4th at Buffalo Wild Wings on North Belt Highway in St. Joseph. Details on that to come. Couple more things for you. NCAA convention comes up next week in D.C., January 13th through the 16th. Looking big picture now just in the national landscape of Division II. The biggest thing on the agenda right now is that they're going to vote on for D2. Will athletes be granted a 5th year of eligibility, going to a 10-semester model? This has kind of been out there. This was news that was broke a few months ago that this was something that was going to be pushed for. And obviously, the House settlement and what that means for NIL and paying athletes still a big topic, really at all levels. So is that kind of where everything starts next week in terms of biggest topics?
Yeah, I think so. I think the 5-year eligibility, which I'm supportive of, has run into some roadblocks with the actual legislation would eliminate pretty much all waivers except for military service, pregnancy, and maybe another one. And I think that's caused some people to step back and take some more account of what's actually happening. I look at it as a market-driven decision, is that, and I could be wrong on all of this. Yeah. This is my opinion, right? The NAIA votes next week, the week after us.
On the 5 years.
April, I guess. April, theirs is later in the spring, but they're going to go vote after us on 5 years.
Gotcha.
Division I their board of directors have said, we are not having a conversation about this now, right? Mm-hmm. But the reason I think they've done that is because I think it's a bargaining chip for some of these eligibility legal cases. So if the NCAA needs to get out of jail free on some of these cases, they just say, well, we'll just declare everybody's eligible for 5 years. And what I don't want for Division II is for us to be the only ones not doing it, right? It becomes a marketing problem for us. And so there are some details that have to get worked out, but I'm going to the convention with the idea that I'm going to speak to as many people as I can and about why I think we need to do this and see what happens. There's some talk about if they think it'll fail, it might get pulled, because what you don't want is for it to get voted down and then trying to bring it back next year, the next people say, well, we just voted that down, right? So, it's a tenuous deal. And here's what you know about NCAA at every level. We are one institution, one vote. And so not every institution has the same thoughts about these things. Right. And not every institution wants the same things. And not every conference wants the same things that the MIAA and Missouri Western want. And so you have to know that going in, and it's highly political, and you do your job and work your networks and talk to people, and you try to get to a place where you have the votes. And I don't know if their votes are there on that yet, right? So we'll find that out in D.C. Next week, and unfortunately, I'll miss the home game on Thursday, but I'll be back in time for Saturday's game, which is good.
Yeah, those games you're talking about is Kearney and Hayes coming to our house January 15th and the 17th, as we've got Washburn and Central Missouri. We got Washburn this Wednesday the 7th, 5:30, 7:30. Central Missouri this Saturday, 1:30, 3:30. And wanted to end with, for these home games coming up, I believe it's Saturday, that we're rolling out an alcohol serving policy at home to navigate us through that web right there.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm ready to talk about all of it because we still have some details to work out. But our team with Ryan Menley and Ashley and Wicker and myself and our Airmark partners and our administration have been working on this for some time, and it looks like it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And what that actually looks like on game day, we're trying to make it as fan friendly as possible. To the ideal setup obviously would be where people could buy it at a concession stand or buy it in a beer garden, and then maybe even take it back to their seat and be just comfortable with that idea. So we're slow walking this through the spring, through basketball games, and then hopefully we will have learned something that would help us then break it out in the fall for football. But I think it's Are we going to make money at it? I don't think so. Is it something that maybe will attract the casual fan? We hope so. We hope that people would say, oh, I can go have a beer and a hot dog and watch good basketball and enjoy our time with my family. And so, that's what we're trying to do, and we're always looking at new ways to be able to better the fan experience as they come watch Griffin basketball.
So this game on Saturday, these two games, kind of just a trial run to see how it goes, basically.
Well, not just Saturday. We're committed to it for the rest of the season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say trial run is the right answer. Okay. I would say, not done this here before.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're going to learn.
Yeah.
And so it might tweak here and there, but the idea is that for the rest of the basketball season, home basketball games, that we're going to provide this opportunity. And then we're going to sit back and take stock and say, okay, well, we think that this is a good idea if we do X, Y, and Z the right way. I think it's one of these things, the next iteration of what college athletics is coming to, and we're going to be part of it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, it was kind of a slow trickle about 10 years ago at the highest level, and then one after the other, a lot of big schools have started doing it at baseball and basketball and football, of course, always the big one. And, and of course, there's always rules in place of, how do you control it or what you price it on, and, there's always worry of overconsumption and things. But, yeah, I know it can be complex, but it's always a popular thing. And, whatever you can do to make things a little more appealing to the home crowd doesn't hurt. And, of course, this Saturday, Basketball Alumni Day for our men and women, and there'll be a gold coat reception following Saturday's games at Buffalo Wild Wings on North Belt Highway. So our great partners at Aramark helping us out with the rollout of alcohol sales, and then another great partner up there up north there at in the North Shop. So they're going to get some basketball alums together from both our men and women's side. So hope for some good results. These are big games for both teams. Wednesday 5:30, 7:30, Saturday 1:30, 3:30. So be loud and support the Griffs as we continue through this 25-26 season and this school year. And that's Athletic Director Andy Carter. Andy, thanks so much for your time and your insight, and safe travels to D.C. next week.
You bet. Thank you, Tommy.
There
Appreciate
you go.
it.
Andy Carter to lead us off on our first show of the new year, of this spring semester, which will have all of our student athletes back on campus, and everyone who attends Mo West Kids report back first day of class next Monday, with campus reopening today. And, of course, basketball resumed on New Year's Day. We were in Kearney Thursday and then Fort Hays State this past Saturday. Lots to get to. There's a lot you can sink your teeth into here, because those were really good games, really good teams that we just played, and we've got a big 4-game stretch at home with conference play coming up, and it starts this week. Again, Washburn and Central Missouri. We'll talk about the women's basketball games coming up first with our new head coach, Luke Scheidecker. Nakiya Harris here to talk about that, and our men's basketball staff rolling in, Brooks McKowen with Gavin Hershberger. They'll join us to talk men's hoops later on in the show, so stick around. We're still with you for the next 35 minutes or so today. Broadcasting live from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill, it's the Griffin Sports Insider Podcast. We'll return in 2 minutes on the Griffin Sports Network. Welcome back, Hi-Ho Bar and Grill, for our Griffin Sports Insider Podcast, first show of the new year and of the new semester. Talking basketball, we're in the heart of the season now. 4 conference games in, with 2 more conference games right here at home coming up this week. Big games, to say the least. Here to talk about it for women's basketball, first-year head coach Luke Scheidecker, and our starting junior forward at 5'11", following Luke from Wabash Valley College, native of Indianapolis, Ms. Nakiya Harris, joining us up here. So thank you guys for joining us. I know we're all kind of coming off the road on a late arrival there Saturday night, and we knew for a while there, Luke, 2 big games coming out of the break. This is always a long bus ride, and 2 teams that always play well. Starting with Thursday, a battle with Kearney. They get a big lead. We come almost all the way back, lose there 84-76, and then first half against number 6 Fort Hays State, in it at halftime, down only 5, but I know things got off to a challenging start in the second half, and they just kind of built on that. And we had the chance, you and I, to talk after both of those games, but had some time to think on it, watch some film, and digest. Just key takeaways from the weekend from your perspective.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was, looking back, is we have to be able to stop runs and, understand what does that look like, stopping a run, right? Executing at a high level, getting great shots, and understanding, like, hey, Kearney was a 19-0 run. Fort Hays was 17-2 run, and that sets the momentum. And, understanding, hey, we when things start getting tough, right, we have to slow down, relax, breathe, and execute at a higher level than we have been. We're going to watch that today as we have practice this afternoon, and watch that film and talk about, like, hey, we start rushing. We we start getting out of character when those things happen, and really just getting back to who we are.
Yeah, no doubt. Nakiya, some numbers for you over the week. 20 points at Kearney, 16 rebounds in the game against Fort Hays State. I think it's fair to say, Nakiya, you've become a leader of this team, being an upperclassman, playing as much ball as you have, lead rebounder on the team. It's been kind of an odd few weeks, right? We win a couple games there going into break, and then we have to sit around for a while, come back, get some practices in, and then, boom, go on a long bus ride, play some really good teams. Through the ups and downs of this year, just from your perspective, how have all the girls on this team, how are they handling it? How are they kind of just keeping each other's spirits up through all the I guess turbulence you've been through here?
Really just trying to stay together, stay consistent, and we know we're a really good team, so we're just trying to stay level-headed and stay together on them tough moments.
Yeah, and Luke, going back to kind of what you said there, being able to stop runs and not panicking during runs. We've talked about when you were hired here that the style we want to play is that, that up-tempo, transition-driven, quickness, aggression. But you talked on Saturday, when that run came, that you felt like things kind of tightened up a little bit. So as you go back to work at practice and watch the film, what does, slowing down or simplifying look like? Is it just running some better half-court stuff? Like, how do you kind of maybe simplify and slow things down when the runs come?
Yeah, and being more methodical about getting the right people, the ball at the right spots and the right opportunities. And really just not rushing, right? And then also getting back to the point of, we guarded really, really well in the first half versus Fort Hays. And we got away from that, and, that's when they went on the run. They have obviously one of the best players in the country, and, we stopped doing what we had been doing against her, and she went off. Yeah. We made her work for everything in the first half. In the second half, she got open a little bit too often, and, that's when it snowballs. They're a really good team that, obviously with her and Brooke Lowe, who's kind of an engine to that thing. We just got away from what we did in the first half, and that's kind of what snowballed in the second half.
I hate to credit. It's pronounced Brooke Levy.
Really?
It's a tough one, yeah. It's spelled with a W. It's pronounced Levy.
Levy, okay, yeah.
And then the lead scorer, Telexa Weeder.
Yes, yeah. Weeder is just an elite basketball player.
74 points on the week. It was tough what she did to us, but she put up 45 against Northwest there on Thursday. So, what they've done, to me, it's the second coming of Olivia Hollenbeck, Kate DeGarmo. Those two go out. Levy and Weeder take over, and, that they have not missed a beat. Nakiya, for you, real quick, you and Tamisha, obviously, you played for Coach Scheidecker at Wabash and enjoyed some good times there. Now that you're, what are we, 13 games into this thing at this level, to you, what have been maybe, I don't know, has there been anything surprising, or just what's been the biggest difference of playing in this league at this level versus a 2-year institution?
Honestly, I was surprised coming in and how good these teams are and how they're just very, disciplined and really good at what they do. That was very surprising.
Yeah, and for you, Luke, you watched dozens of your players go to the 4-year level. You were an assistant at the 4-year level, at the Division I level at that. Just from as a head coaching standpoint, getting to kind of meet some of these coaches and go against them for the first time. I saw you and Drew Johnson having good conversations. You and Talia having some words before the game. Just what's this experience been like for you, just feeling out the landscape?
Yeah, I've been extremely impressed. Obviously knowing they might have won how good of a league, but then when you get in it, see how good the coaches are, good how the players are. There's not a big difference at all between us and the low major Division I. There's just not. There's a lot of teams that can win a lot of games and finish high in leagues. And every night if you don't come out ready to play, you're going to be in a dogfight or you're going to get blown out.
Right.
And an example of Saturday, we didn't come to play for one quarter and it just snowballed.
Yeah.
In Kearney, right? We had a 5-minute stretch where we didn't play well, and a big run. So. That's the big thing for us is taking that next step of just being more consistent because we do have really good talent. We feel confident about that. But it's just putting it together. And, that's kind of been the theme all year. There's no excuse for having the hardest schedule in the country. There's no excuse for returning 3%. Meredith averaged 3 points a game last year as the only returner. We have to get through that. We're in the second half of the season. It's conference play. That we played a lot of minutes together. We've got to take that jump because the talent's there. And every coach drives us crazy because they're like, man, you guys are talented. Well, yes, but we need to execute it at a better rate and finish these things.
Yeah, no question about it. A chance to do some of those things as we're home the next 2 weeks. That sounds pretty good, and that's the good news. The tougher news is that this might be the toughest stretch for most teams anywhere. I mean, men's and women's. This is a really big 4-game stretch coming up. It's starting this Wednesday with Washburn, and so there's a lot to dive into here. Just starting with the Ichabods at 10-3. 3-1 in the MIAA. The Ichabods winners of 4 straight. They hammered Emporia State and Topeka on Saturday. That's the only game they had this week. Excellent defensively under fourth-year head coach and former Ichabod herself, Laura Wessling, who was a national champion as a player under Ron McHenry 20 years ago at Washburn. You know, she had about a couple of years where she was 500 or behind or less, and now she's really got it going. This is a Washburn team holding opponents to just 55 points a game. Not only that, they've kept a nucleus of players together for a number of years. Yabari Widada's still there, rebound machine, a double-double machine. They've got some great guards, Madeline and Mekberfor being one of them. And they battled Pitt in the MIAA semifinals. That's about the furthest they'd been in a while this past year. What do you make of that Washburn team?
Yeah, I think that's, looking at the league, right, the teams who have kept people together and have progressed throughout the years are the teams that are having great success right now. You look at Washburn, their senior-laden group who've played a lot of minutes together. Look at Central Missouri. They've got Reese Schaefer, they've got Taylor, who's who's local.
Yeah.
They've been playing together for a while. So, obviously, Washburn has been together. They played a lot of minutes. They're going to play at a slower pace. They're really going to pound it inside. Really look to throw it inside and score off their bigs. But they're good. They're a good group, right? We can't let this be a game where it's a slower pace and walking it up and down the floor and just playing it. Throw it inside basketball. We have to give adjustments and make things difficult for them inside.
And briefly on Central Missouri, they come in Saturday, and they had kind of an up-and-down start. They've played a tough schedule. They've traveled to, it was either like California or Hawaii to play in an event. They've played a wide variety of teams. The Jennies right now 9-4, 3-1 in the MIAA, and they've won 3 straight. Reese Schaaf, that's their big forward, a Drury transfer. Honestly, to her credit, I'm kind of surprised she's not Division I, just a high-level player. And then Taylor Weiser, who you talked about, over 6 feet tall, graduate of Riverside, just across the bridge from where we're sitting. That's their 2 big combo guard forwards. They both score, they both rebound, they do it all. And, of course, Dave Slifer has quite a history with us, has enjoyed a nice run there. Your impression of the Jennies so far?
Yeah, they're solid. They got good length. They shoot the ball well. Obviously, Schaefer and Weiser, they're mismatch problems for a lot of people. As they present length, they can score it multiple ways. They're another really good team, right? It's one of those things where, you look at the league right now, and especially the north half, everyone's kind of going at it with each other, right? You look at Kearney went and had Central Missouri beat at Central Missouri, right? Dogfight with Washburn, right? Fort Hays goes and loses at Washburn. It's really those games that come down to those possessions, right? And, really executing at a high level when things get tough. You have to be ready to play Central Missouri because obviously Dave Slifer's a Hall of Famer. He's done it at a high rate for a long time, and he's got really good players. He knows how to put them in the right spots and, execute at a high level.
Yeah, of course, Dave was back on our campus just a couple of months ago for 2 of his Griffin teams in 97, 98, 01, 02, a couple of MIAA championship teams that were enshrined into our Griffin Athletics Hall of Fame. So he's got an assistant, Josh Keister, who was a head coach for us. There's a lot of common ties that bind the Jennies and the Griffs together. Nakiya, just ending with you, to get to stay home right after a long trip. Adrian tells me the band will be back despite classes not starting till next week, so we'll have things at full go here for a couple of weeks at home. And we had some nice momentum at home before you went to break. So just as players, as the team, how nice is it just to know you'll be in the friendly confines of the Looney Fieldhouse for a few days?
It feels good. Have the home court, environment, experience it again. Crowd there, get us going. So it feels good to be back at home.
Talking to crowds, I just want to ask you, what was Education Day like for you? I mean, that had to be a blast, right?
Oh, yeah, it was very fun. I had a very good experience. There was a lot of kids in the building. My fingers started getting hurt. There was a lot of autographs I had to sign, but it was great, though. I had a lot of fun.
I think the quote from Kaya was, we're walking back to the locker room, and Kaya goes, before the game, I haven't been this hyped for a game in a long time. Like she's out there yelling at and all excited about it.
Yeah, it was very fun. It was very fun.
Yeah, no, that was up to, 5,000 that we had in all for that whole thing. 2,000, a little over 2,000 each day. I think it was 3,000 for the men's game against Avila. So, yeah, just unbelievable stuff that we got to experience there before the break. But we're into the second half now. We're into 2026. 15 conference games to go. The next 4 are at home, so that's the good news. So Wednesday 5:30 and Saturday at 1:30, our women to lead us off. After the women followed the men at Hayes Saturday, we're back to our normal order of things. So the women lead us off Wednesday and Saturday, and myself and Rob Edmondson will be back on the radio table to bring you all the action. So Nakiya, Luke, thank you, and good luck.
Appreciate it. Go Griffs.
Nakiya Harris and Luke Scheidecker giving us some time here on the GSI Podcast. Still got about 20 or so minutes left in our program today. It's time to talk about men's basketball now. And just like the women, this is a pretty impressive slate of games we've got coming up here. I mean, the next game on the schedule is number 1 in the country, Washburn. That's who we play on Wednesday night, Central Missouri thereafter. Brooks McKowen here to talk about it with Gavin Hershberger. That is next on the GSI Podcast from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill. Welcome back, Hi-Ho Bar and Grill, for our first live GSI podcast of the new year 2026 as we look ahead to this semester coming up. Basketball, not as much rest for them. The Griffins, both teams, had games on the 20th and then getting ready to go. New Year's Eve is when the Griffin buses pulled out of town to get to Kearney and Hayes this past weekend. And we talk about the men's basketball results and what's to come with our head coach, Brooks McKowen, and a sophomore guard at 5'10", originally of Castle Pines, Colorado, transfer of Upper Iowa University, Mr. Gavin Hershberger. So, gentlemen, thanks for being up here. Griffins enter the week 11-4 overall, 3-1 in the MIAA, coming off of what was a split on what's always one of the longer and tougher conference double dips of the year. An outstanding game at Kearney, 104-80, a victory there. And then, as it always is with Mark Johnson, a low-scoring physical scrap with Fort Hays State, and then Hayes gets the winning shot there with about 4 seconds to go. So, Coach, I know so close to the desired result of getting both of those wins, but so many good things to take away, like we talked about on Saturday, just now that you've had another 36 hours or so to think on it and watch some film, just your lasting impressions are...
Yeah, I mean, it was a good weekend. Obviously, you want to get the sweep on the road, and you want to go get that game. I felt like Kearney, we played really well. You know, we're coming off a break. You never know how it's going to be. You get 3 days of practice before you play a game. You're traveling. Like, it's not the ideal situation when you're going, into your 2 conference games. But we had some really good practices after break. I thought our guys brought the energy and had a good week of practice. And then we go to Kearney, and we executed the way we wanted to. We cleaned up some things over the break. I thought our defense got a lot better, and our ball pressure and taking away easies from the other teams. We just did a lot better job of that this weekend, which was good to see. And we went on our runs at Kearney. We kind of took what they gave us, and that was an up-tempo game. They wanted to play fast. We wanted to play fast, and we were able to get up and down and put up a bunch of points. And then we knew it was going to be the opposite at Hayes. We knew how they played. They want to grind it out. They want to beat you up and be physical all night and make everything tough. And I still thought we executed great. I thought we guarded them unbelievably well the whole game. They got going a little bit at the end in the last 5 minutes, but we were right there. And we didn't make shots. We didn't make free throws. And you got to do that on the road. You got to do that to win a game on the road. But we had our chances.
Yeah, no question. 14 lead changes in that game against Fort Hays. Hayes was down 14 early second half, and they just kind of, as they tend to do, just kind of chipped away at the thing. And that's the style that led them to an MIAA tournament title this past year. Gavin, a good week for you. Combined 35 points for Gavin, 20, a season best against Kearney on Thursday, then 15 more on Saturday, and a combined 7 made three-pointers on the year. Little note on Gavin, 36 made threes, tied for third most in the MIAA right now. I want to go back, though, Gavin, quickly to Thursday. No doubt it was a little chippy, maybe a little testy there in that second half, and they have a guard who scores a lot and talks a lot, chirping at his bench, our head coach. There was a flagrant foul in there. There were technicals, one on each side. You can argue how legit the one on us was, but what impressed me is during all of that, it was either like you or Will hit a big three after one of the testy moments, and you guys didn't celebrate, you didn't clap back, you just get back on defense, do your job. Composure, I think, in some of these tight games is what I've noticed. How much is that talked about, or how much is that preached upon, just knowing those moments are going to happen through the course of a year, and what is the challenge of just staying cool when moments like that in Thursday's game are happening?
Well, yeah, it's a big thing. It's kind of like every time something's going on, like, we got to be smart. You can't, think too much or talk too much. You got to just be in the next moment and be ready for the next play.
Yeah, and Coach, for you, from that standpoint, I don't know if I've ever seen an opponent player yap directly at our coach, and I'm sitting next to you getting pretty fired up about it myself. I know that comes as a shock to people. But no, like for your guys, how much is that? How much do you have to talk about, like, keeping composure?
Well, I think a lot of that is the character of our players. We don't really talk about it that much, to be honest with you. We know our guys and what kind of guys we brought here, and they're high-character kids. So in moments like that with adversity, we know they're going to come out on top and do things the right way. I was probably the one that got more worked up than anybody. I probably should have been the one that was a little more calmer out there. Gav maybe should have held me back or something. But, yeah, I mean, it was a physical game, a couple tough plays and cheap shots a little bit, so there were some plays that, were questionable, and they ended up chirping at us because we were trying to get a flagrant foul, and it was all good.
Well, they ended up ruling that a flagrant, didn't
they? They didn't call it a
That's
flagrant.
right.
It was he pulled Will down. He said he was going after the ball, and then they got it 2 tees later. Their players got 2 tees later, and it's just one of those where you just keep playing, you keep playing hard, you keep doing things the right way, and more times than not, it's going to work out in your favor.
Yeah, so much kind of unfolded that second half. I know there were video reviews and things, so yeah, okay, that's what ended up happening. Gavin, just shifting back to you, again, we talked about it, still a long way to go in this season. 15 conference games. It's been a great start, right? I think, we saw how the crowd has been supporting us with the home game against Northwest. We had Education Day and everything like that, and now here's a chance with some really big games to get this home crowd in. It's always weird in basketball, like, a team that's getting hot early. It's like, man, it's fun and everyone's excited, but it's like, job ain't over. We got 2 more months of this. In your guys' shoes, what is that challenge of enjoying and being grateful for what you've done, but also just staying hungry and focusing on what's still out there?
Yeah, like these 2 games coming up are really big for us. It's really thinking about the next game. Like, we can't think about the past and stuff. I know we've started off the year well, but it's really going to the next game and being ready for the next challenge that's coming.
Yeah. And quickly, Gavin, on a personal note, I told you I got to meet your parents on Saturday, Jason and Jennifer. You grew up in the Denver area, so you're halfway to Colorado when you're to Hayes, so that makes it nice. I enjoyed the conversation. That's honestly one of my favorite parts of the job, getting to meet family and supporters of student athletes through the years. Just, what's there? So what did it mean to have them there, and what has their support meant to you in your career?
Yeah, they're awesome. They try to get to as many games as they can, and I feel like they're my biggest supporters, and they're always cheering for me, and they're the biggest fans of everyone on the team. So it's not like they're just there for me; they're there for the whole team and everybody.
Yeah, I was actually impressed both the men's and women's game. We had a pretty decent contingent behind our bench cheering us on, so that was nice to see. Especially, that's one of our furthest conference trips of the season. Well, there is a lot to feast upon this week, as Gavin alluded to. Number 1, Washburn in here Wednesday. They're currently sitting 14-0, and Central Missouri off to one of their better starts in a while. They're 12-4. We get the Mules on Saturday afternoon. Starting with Washburn, they played Emporia on Saturday. It was a tight first half, put them away in the second. Coach, we could spend probably a whole hour talking about what Washburn does well, but what jumps out is their scoring margin, outscoring people on average 90-60. But that being said, Central Missouri, Fort Hays State, Rockhurst all play them to within single digits. UCM took them to double overtime. And like their women's team, Brett Ballard has been able to hold a good nucleus of people together through the years. 3 starters back. They had some pieces in the portal, including a guy from Northeastern State that's doing well for them. Your evaluation of them is what?
I mean, they're good. Yeah. They're number 1 for a reason. It's a good basketball team, but we've got a good team too. We're ready for the challenge. The biggest thing with them is they're just, from talking to coaches and watching film, they're just, they stay on you. They're relentless. They just keep going and going and going. They keep trapping you. They keep rotating. They keep flying around. So if you can slow yourself down, and I think that's the biggest thing. Now, we play fast, so we're okay playing fast. We've done it the whole preseason. We haven't pressed as much as we probably would like, but we've kind of adjusted to what works best for us. But this whole preseason, these guys were used to getting trapped and pressed and sped up. So, you got to slow yourself down. You got to be patient. Even though the game's going fast, they're trying to speed you up. They live off of turnovers and scoring off of turnovers. That's how they beat people, and that's how they build those big leads. If you can slow yourself down, you're going to get good looks. You can put them in rotations. You can look to attack and play, and I think we got the guys to do that. We've got the guards that can handle it. We've got guys that will make plays and are willing to pass and make the right reads. So we're looking forward to the challenge.
It's interesting, right about when we hired you is when they were in the Final Four, and I know every D2 coach in the country is probably watching that for a variety of reasons. Interestingly, it's a conference opponent of ours playing in the Final Four. Anything common threads, any differences from the team that was playing for a potential national championship a few months ago to now?
They play very similar. I guess we didn't get to play them. I didn't get to play them, so I don't know. By personnel, I didn't follow them that close last year.
Yeah.
We'd follow it. I was just being a basketball fan. You're watching the D2 championships and watching those games, but they're talented. He gets them to play hard. Every one of those guys play hard. They're willing to share the basketball, and they've got a big man that's really good. But we feel like we've got one too that's pretty good. So we're definitely looking for the challenge. Anytime you get a number one team in the country to come into your place, you get excited. Like you were talking about motivation with these guys before. Yeah, we're mad about the Hayes game. We're going to keep getting better, and we're ready for the challenge. Like, we're looking forward to it. This is why you play basketball. This is why these guys dream about, playing the number one team in the country, and they're going to get up for it.
We do have a pretty good big in Marco Pavlovich, who did have 2 double-doubles, and we added one, a 6'8" big from Waukee, Iowa, Vance Pfeiffer, who got to play in a couple of the games. Quickly on Vance, I did ask you about that Thursday, but for those who didn't hear it, you talked about you ran it by your guys that, hey, maybe we should add somebody at semester, and sounds like everyone was all in, and what a way to bust the rust and get him some minutes this week.
Yeah, it was good to see him out there. He's a great kid, extremely high character, and that was the main thing with it. I knew him before, him and his family before. We had recruited him before, so we wanted to make sure, because we love our chemistry. We've got great guys. They do things the right way. They compete every day in practice, so we didn't want to bring in somebody that was going to ruin that. And we were able to get him here, and he's a good fit with the guys. And for 3 days of practice, he did all right this weekend.
Yeah,
so he'll keep getting better, and he'll keep working and learning our stuff and learning how to play with these guys more and more. So we're excited to have some more size and physicality down there, because this league seems like every night there's a 6'10", 250-pound guy sitting there. So, you've got to have somebody to match them and match that physicality.
Yeah, so exciting. Vance Pfeiffer was a starter as a freshman at St. Cloud State. We actually played against him last year in Texas, so kind of a unique deal there. And quickly on Central Missouri, Adam Bohach, who was at Southern Nazarene before, beat Northwest Missouri State at Southern Naz with that team, and then gets the job at Central Missouri. And patience has paid off for him. A couple of years of being 500, sneaking into the MIAA tournament. Well, they've turned a corner now, 12-4, 3-1 in the league, receiving votes in the top 25 at last check. I was looking at it just surface level, a lot of underclassmen. 4 of their 5 starters underclassmen, 2 of them being freshmen, and they've just been impressive. They beat some ranked teams. What have you seen of the Mules so far?
Yeah, I haven't watched a ton on them, to be honest with you. That's one we'll kind of hit when we get to it on Thursday. We're focused on Wednesday right now. But he's got a good team. The games I've watched, they play hard. They play with some good tempo. Those 2 freshmen are really good. The guards are good. So it's definitely a challenge this week, this whole month. We basically are playing 4 teams this month. So just kind of replaying them. So it'll be definitely a challenge, but our guys are ready for it.
Yeah. And Gavin, for you, we talked with Nakiya and Luke about the great home atmospheres that we've had with, the band. They'll be back this week, and the education day you got to be a part of. Just knowing that you're home these next 4, how comforting is that from a mentality standpoint right now?
Well, it's nice to be back home, but you got to know, these teams aren't easy to beat, even though we're at home. We still got to come out, play our best basketball, and be who we are.
Okay, sounds good. And it's going to be, it's our first games of the new year. Again, campus is reopened. The whole student body won't be back until next Monday, but for those of you that are around, it doesn't look like weather's going to be an issue or anything like that. So get there and be loud. These are big games for both of our teams, Wednesday, Saturday. This is a big stretch coming up. So Wednesday, we've got the games at 5:30, 7:30 against Washburn, and the men at 1:30 and 3:30 against Central Missouri. And on top of that, it's Alumni Weekend, Alumni Day on Saturday, so we'll have a lot of former Griffs in to watch this current team that's given us plenty to cheer about so far this year, 11-4 and 3-1 in the conference. Everyone's kind of looking at Washburn and UAFS, but there's a logjam of several teams right behind them vying for position, and we've got a seat at that table right now. So big games. I'm excited, guys. Can't wait to be there, and good luck to you. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, thanks, Tommy.
There you go. Brooks McKowen, Gavin Hershberger joining us to round out our program here on this Monday. So, basketball, the only thing that's going on this week, but we just had basketball over the weekend, and, we're right in the heart of it. We're going on our 5th and 6th conference games of the season. So it's that time of year that these are all going to matter once we get to March, no question. And, it's been fun. We've gotten to know all these new kids and new coaches, and can't wait to see what the rest of the season holds. It's going to do it for us. I want to thank Andy Carter, our coaches, Luke Scheidecker, Brooks McKowen, and our athletes Nakiya Harris, Gavin Hershberger for giving us the time today. We'll be back next Monday, the 12th, for another show. And And next week we're going to get Sean Goswich back on to talk about track and field. Their season resumes next week. And then Griffin softball, which will open in about 3 weeks from now. Nicole Thompson, who will start her second year as our head coach. Nicole will be on the program next week with both of our basketball coaches, so we look forward to that. I'm Tommy Rezach. Thanks so much for tuning in, and of course, be sure to subscribe to the GSI Podcast on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and wherever you podcast. We'll see you next week. So long.